Blame Truth here, and with this whole Call of Duty dying debacle going on, I've seen some weird things. I've seen the player count falling off a cliff as it pertains to Steam, and I've covered that every single step of the way. And here's the thing, we have to assume that on PC Game Pass as well as Battle.net, the fall off is pretty much going to be the same as it is on Steam, roughly. I mean, it's probably going to be around 40%. As of today, we have lost 42% of the player base on Steam in the last 30 days, which is horrible, especially when you consider the fact that this game, it's been on sale on Steam. It's also been Christmas break, so people have all the time in the world to play. Like, there's really no excuse for lack of time or work or whatever. And they also did a free-to-play week on all platforms, and that's going to come into factor later. But even with all that, man, they've lost 42% of the player base on Steam, and we have to assume other PC platforms are probably right along with that metric. I mean, PC gamers, man, we have a lot of options. And I'm not trying to be like a PC master race guy here, but there's a lot more options on PC than on console. It's just a fact, So if something sucks on PC, people are not going to stick around. They're going to play something else. We have so many other options to choose from. How bad is this actually going to fall? Come January, we've more than doubled the fall that Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 had in December. We've more than doubled that on Steam, and that game was considered a colossal failure for player retention to the point where people were very concerned behind the scenes when that was happening. But that doesn't paint the entire picture. And we have to consider console as well. A lot of people are saying, like, well, the game's doing well on console, right? One could assume that. I mean, console is kind of the normie, like the normie platform. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a PC elitist here, but all of the casuals, all the people that, sit there with their zero point 0.9 KD in their protected bracket that think they're scump or whatever, most likely, they're probably playing on some PS4 that sounds like it's going to take off into the fucking stratosphere when it just boots up Black Ops 6. So, it would make sense that the game's doing better on console. However, there are some signs that may not be the case. Now, here's the thing, man. Activision has so many tricks up their sleeves, except making a good game. That's the one thing they are incapable of doing, it seems. But they have every single trick known to man to make them look better than they're actually doing when it comes to shareholders and the player base and whatever. Every single year, even if they release something like Modern Warfare 3, which did not sell as much as the previous year, it sold 40% less than Modern Warfare 2. Even when that happens, they manage to spin it and suck their own dick. They'll fucking do a pretzel to suck their own dick every single year. They'll never fail to just blow themselves. For example, with Modern Warfare 3, they said something like it had the highest player engagement of any Call of Duty ever. Whatever the fuck that means. Despite it selling 40% less than last year, and then with Black Ops 6, they released the beta on all platforms way sooner than any other beta in history, and then they touted that it was the most successful beta of all time, most playtime or whatever, and it's like, no shit, dude, you're literally rigging it to do that. Like, you can't just make the beta available to play on all platforms, not include that data in your data when saying it's the most played beta of all time. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? Like, they're literally rigging it so it's impossible not to get these results. And I mean, that's their MO, man. They're narcissistic fucking psychopaths over there at Activision Blizzard, and they can eat my asshole until it resembles a motherfucking California raisin. But anyway, I'm not here to have them toss my salad. No. I am here to talk about their bullshit. So, before I get into that, though, what if I told you guys that I have the player numbers? Like, I have the live player count. I had to do some math with this. I had to do some deductive reasoning, and I had to go off of a player count leak that we got 2 years ago, which, as far as I can tell, is 100% legit when it did come out, because it was featured in a fucking gaming museum. It's very, very interesting, and I'm going to cover all my sources, all the math I use, what have you. So, first and foremost, let's talk about the player numbers and what percentage Steam represents. So, 2 years ago, a museum in Malaga, Spain, named the OXO Museum, which is a video game museum, released the player count numbers for Call of Duty. And they said, and I quote, the museum staff allegedly told attendees that they received permission from Activision to display the live Call of Duty player count numbers. This is an article featured on Insider Gaming. I'll leak the full article if you want to see it. I'll leave it in the pinned comment or whatever, in the description. But basically, the entire player counts for Call of Duty up until Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2 were featured. This includes COD Mobile, by the way. All of this was featured in one graphic, and this graphic reached 1,104,383 concurrent players at the time of this screenshot, this picture, I should say. But that's not the whole story, because that's actually every single Call of Duty title up until that point and COD Mobile factored into that number. That's just not very good for a series as big as Call of Duty. I'm sorry. But if we look at the actual meat and potatoes here, the Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2 numbers, it's even worse. We have 424,000 people on Warzone 2 at the time, and then 184,000 on Modern Warfare 2. And this is in late January, I do believe, when this screenshot was taken at this museum. Those numbers are really, really bad. Now, we know that Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 lost a lot of players, and it continued to lose way more players after January. So keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind with this stuff I'm going to show you. But if we tally up these two numbers and the time that this screenshot was taken, we can actually kind of match these to Steam and see what the percentage of Steam players are, roughly. So 424,000 plus 184,000 is, according to my math, 608,000 concurrent players at the time of this screenshot. This Insider Gaming article was posted January 27th, 2023, and the screenshot, the picture, was taken at 7 p.m. GMT, which would be 2 p.m. EST, which is a few hours before the evening peak for Call of Duty, because most Call of Duty players seem to be from the US, and the evenings are when people are getting off work and school, so that's when the player count rises the most. So this is right before the big surge. The maximum player count for that day would have went up from the time of the screenshot. So let's just keep all that in mind here when we're talking about these numbers and whatnot. So we can actually use this number, kind of tie it into the Steam numbers, divide, do some division, and then find the Steam, I guess, player percentage of the entire Call of Duty player base, if that makes sense. We can also use these numbers to find the present day player counts based on what we know from this time, if that makes sense as well. So we can't find the, I guess, average player count for that exact time from Steam charts. It is not that detailed. But what we can do is we can take the average player numbers from January, add a little bit to that number, because that's the super low end and then super high end of the days, basically. We can add a little bit to that number and then get a relatively accurate representation of the player count for that day, divide that into the player count total that we have, and figure out the Steam percentage of players. And then we can do some more bro science and quick math to kind of find the modern day player counts. And that's going to be really, really interesting. And then we're going to get into the console player numbers, player percentages, player counts, what have you. So this is where it gets a little complicated. I'll spare you guys the dumb math, but basically we're going to divide the player count for January 2023, but we're gonna add, I don't know, we'll say 8,000 to this, because again, this represents the lower end and the higher end, so we need to go towards more of the higher end just to kind of even things out, because this was taken again at 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. right before the big, surge of players in the evening, but it's higher than it would be like in the middle of the night, for example. Does that make sense? We're going to say that the January 2023 player numbers when the screenshot was taken on Steam were about 110,000 concurrent players. So dividing that into the 608,000 number, we get 5.52. If we translate that to a percentage, it equates to a little bit over 18%. And that number could be a little bit higher now in 2024 because as the trends have suggested, more and more people are hopping on the PC bandwagon. Consoles are a little bit stagnant, so more gamers are kind of going towards PC as things progress. With that said, though, we have to take into account the PC Game Pass. That is a thing as well. So for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to leave it like around 18%. I think that's the best guess of what the Steam player base is, about 18% of the total Call of Duty player base. And I would guess here and say Battle.net is actually a little bit higher because apparently Warzone runs better on Battle.net for whatever reason. I don't know why that's a thing, but it runs a little bit better frame rate wise on Battle.net. So we're going to say Battle.net represents somewhere in the 20% range. There's really no way of knowing that one, but I'm just guessing it's higher than Steam just based on that. And that's before counting PC Game Pass, which I want to say is factored into the Xbox statistics for like player numbers and stuff, but I'm not exactly sure there. There's a lot of gray area because we don't have the hard data. Yeah, my favorite word. But regardless, I'd say traditional PC, not Game Pass, not Xbox stuff, 40 to 50% of the Call of Duty player base. And that's not counting Game Pass again. So make of that what you will. Now, how do we get the current day player count from these numbers we know from the past? Like the current day rough estimate concurrent player count at any given day around 2 p.m. EST. Well, I'm just going to say it's about 10% lower than the number we probably got that leaked based on Steam charts alone. Like Steam charts has lost about 10% of the player base. I mean, this is all guesstimation, of course. But let's just say the most logical take is that it's about 10% lower from this just based on what we see on Steam charts here. So, yeah, minus 10% of 608,000 would be around 540,000 concurrent players on any given day around 2 p.m. EST or so. And that would go up, of course, in the evening. So we'll say like 600, 700,000, something like that. But that's just a guess. I mean, that's the best guess I can give you. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. If that is what the actual player numbers are, and if we're going off of, Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 being a colossal failure for player retention, and seeing Black Ops 6 go even lower than that on the only metric we can really track it on, I mean, guys, that's just not very good. Like, 500,000 players roughly per day, concurrent players per day. I don't know, man. That's just not very good if that's what it actually is. Anywhere around that is not very good. I would argue anything under 1 million players at any given time is not very good. I recall playing, Xbox 360 on Black Ops 1 when that game came out. And seeing the player count well over 1 million just on one platform alone, just on multiplayer. You have to keep in mind, this is COD HQ. This is several games in one. This is Warzone free-to-play. This is the new Call of Duty, what have you. The old Call of Duties, the past few years of Call of Duties, and all of their side modes. It's not just multiplayer. This is like campaign, zombies, solo zombies. Everything's online now, so everything's being tracked. So this is just not a very impressive number. Like, I legit recall during the Xbox 360 eras when Call of Duty would come out, it being well over 1 million just on Xbox 360, and that's not counting PC, and that's not counting PlayStation at the time. So there's that. Hell, even Drifter posted, and this is very interesting, Drifter posted the Black Ops 2 player count on Xbox 360 alone 2 years after the fact. And it was this high. And again, this is just multiplayer. This is just Black Ops 2. This is 2 years after the fact. These were the player numbers. You're telling me Black Ops 2, 2 years after, is half the player count of current day Call of Duty. with all of their modes and Warzone and all that stuff, I mean, look, man, I'm sure Call of Duty is making money hand over fist still. Their monetization practices are truly fucking gag-worthy, how ridiculous and sickening they are. And I've continually said this throughout the years, and I think this pretty much proves it. I said that, like, they don't really care about player numbers specifically. They want the players that are playing to spend a lot of money in the store. That is how they make their fucking money. They will take 100,000 players that spend their life savings on the game over 1 million players that maybe buy something from the store every now and then, like it's a rarity or whatever. They don't want people on the game who are not spending money in the store, in the shop, what have you. I'm sorry, but that's just a fact. At the end of the day, these player numbers, while pretty depressing, especially compared to old school Call of Duty, I mean, you know, it doesn't really matter if the player numbers that are on the game are spending ass loads of money in the shop. That's just a fact. That is just a fact. And I've continually said, like, this EOMM system, it's not there to retain players. People have been trying to, like, argue that. You cannot argue that anymore after seeing what Black Ops 6 and Warzone 3 have shown us on Steam charts this year. Like, this system does not increase player retention. Hell, the top voted topic on Reddit right now, and this is like the 5th fucking time I have seen this topic be like the top voted topic on Reddit, is people saying, hey, just leave the game if you're not having fun. Fuck EOMM. Like, this system is not there to retain players. I cannot say this enough, and I've continually said this, and people have said, no, that's not true, BT. Like, dude, I was right. I've been right about so fucking much, and I'm right again. Player retention is not the goal of this system. Milking the player base dry of their hard-earned cash is the intention of this system. Bar none. They will sacrifice players all damn day if it lines their pockets. I mean, they're very smart when it comes to that metric. And then they'll kind of flip-flop things and break emergency glass to make themselves look better than they actually are. And we're going to get into that now with the console numbers, okay? So, assuming these numbers are what they are, maybe they're even a little bit higher. Maybe I'm not factoring in Game Pass enough. Who knows? But I would guarantee you they're under 1 million concurrent most of the time. So Charlie Intel posted this, and I thought this was perplexing. But then the more I thought about it, I'm going to show you how this is just a doctored number. This is a doctored rank, so to speak. The more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, no, I know what they're doing, man. They cannot resist again trying to make themselves look as good as possible, even when things are down, because they're fucking narcissists. So Charlie Intel posted this. And it looks like Call of Duty on console is knocking it out of the park. They're number one. And I mean, this is like every one of their games under the HQ to beat Fortnite. And this is the week ending December 21st. Now, I think Xbox factors in PC Game Pass with this. I know it factors in regular Game Pass. But there's some very interesting caveats here, okay? Why are the numbers so high December 21st, the week of December 21st, when they're so low on Steam? On Steam, Call of Duty's falling at a rapid pace, and it's just going to get worse and worse. So why is there such a difference there? It's true that console does have more casual players, and they're more likely to be playing Call of Duty because what else do they have to play on console? Grand Theft Auto 5, the yearly sports title or whatever, Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft's still like top 10 on PlayStation. And we saw that NBA 2K25 actually overtook Call of Duty just recently, so these numbers aren't really even up to date. And I'm not making that up. Like, it overtook Call of Duty on the top 10 play games in NA, knocked it out of the number 2 spot behind Fortnite. And according to that, Fortnite's already taken back over the number 1 spot, so there's that. But what's interesting here is that Call of Duty ran a free-to-play week for Black Ops 6 on every single platform, by the way. On console, there's just less options. I think more people are going to be checking out the game on console for sure, and you have to download that gigantic Albatross Call of Duty HQ. There's also a lot of people that might not be satisfied with Warzone, current day Warzone, and Black Ops 6 that will go back to Modern Warfare 3. I've seen a lot of people going back to MW3, actually, like tons of people on Reddit I've seen saying, like, I'm not playing Black Ops 6, it sucks cock, I'm going back to MW3. And that's factored into this number as well because it's, again, all under the Call of Duty HQ banner. So there's that. But either way, yeah, they released a free-to-play week, which is already odd. I don't think I've ever seen them do a free-to-play week. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen free-to-play weekends, but not free-to-play weeks, which is just a bit ridiculous. On top of that, I covered how the game has been on sale at Costco for like the past week for less than $20, and that's the PlayStation and the Xbox versions. On top of that, on Xbox, they're actually trying to pay you to play the game. I'm not kidding, man. They're actually trying to pay you a gift card, a $5 gift card, on top of a 25% off voucher, on top of 2 XP vouchers, both weapon and regular XP vouchers, to get you to play the game, buy the game on Xbox digitally. So with all these things factored in, yeah, it's no surprise that on console, it's probably still doing pretty well. I'd say on console, it's probably not dropped off nearly as much as PC. If I had a rough estimate guess, probably about 20% overall, honestly. But again, that's just a guess. I have no way of possibly knowing because they hide the numbers. And one thing I'm really curious on, and this might explain why it's number one, I'm not sure if Call of Duty counts like somebody that plays Warzone that plays Black Ops 6 as 2 different like users on the games, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if that's what happens on console or whatever. Like if somebody plays Warzone and then they are counted twice because they pick up another title like Black Ops 6, or they're playing like free to play on that and trying it out, are they counted twice in that regard? Like, why do they get to factor in like 5 different fucking games? Not even that. I mean, if you're factoring all the modes, it's more than that. Why do they get to factor in all this stuff? I don't really understand. But either way, I'm just going to read verbatim what I put on Twitter and just to end this video. What's crazy about all of this, all these numbers, is how badly Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 bled players 2 years ago. Enough to raise concern behind the scenes, and we've more than doubled that loss on Steam. Console is leaving clues too that things aren't great, and them having to do free-to-play weeks, massive sales, and gift card bribes just to beat Fortnite on console is concerning. Beating Fortnite for a single week isn't the W you think it is either. It's taking Warzone, BO6, MW3, MW2, and all the side modes under the Call of Duty HQ umbrella, on top of massive sales, Game Pass, etc. to do this. Too long didn't read. Franchise is in the shitter. Even if console is doing well, the massive drop on Steam, and we have to assume it's probably similar on PC Game Pass and Battle.net as well. It might not be as much as Steam. It might be more than Steam. We don't really know. But if the trend is there on PC, because PC gamers have so many options to play, they're not going to play some shitty game. If the trend is there on PC in general, and PC seems to have the edge on console, the numbers overall just don't seem to be that good. I hate to say it. I think Fortnite is absolutely killing them. Fortnite actually broke their concurrent player record just recently, by the way. Over 14 million concurrent players, which is insanity, compared to like roughly 500, 600,000 for current day Call of Duty. That's not great. Yeah, there's a reason Call of Duty tries to be like this really poor man's Fortnite nowadays, let's just say. What used to be the alpha male of the gaming space, they used to be the trendsetters. They've become just some cheap fucking knockoff to Fortnite in 2024. And it's pathetic, and all of their downfalls, all of their losses in player numbers are well-deserved, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it's a bit too nerdy for you, but hopefully this opens your eyes to the actual player numbers, what's going on behind the scenes. If my math could be better, please let me know. If there's some area where you think I messed up on, please let me know in the comments section. I want to be as accurate as possible, but I think given the data I do have and the information I do have, this is pretty accurate info. These are pretty accurate numbers. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one. Peace.